I want to stick on this guilt theme because I know that it had such a big impact on my life, my own guilt and being manipulated with guilt. And but I was thinking about like your kids and how they're not as exposed because you're correcting this behavior.
Mhm.
And because I also thought like because I've given my kids a lot of flexibility, but then
Mhm.
they don't show up. Like
There
and I'm
is
like,
that.
well, maybe that guilt manipulation it did
Right.
work.
But do we want to guilt people into sitting in our,
No, that's the thing. And that's what I wanted to talk about because it's like they did get the results with the guilt because we were there. Like we were so obligated.
it goes back to the squeaky wheel gets the oil because you don't want to piss that person off, so you better show up. I don't
Right.
want people showing up out of fear that or
Right.
whatever that is. Like that's just I don't operate that way anymore. I want people at my table who want to be at my table or who can be at my table without stressing themselves out. You know,
Right.
my son is a fireman. He works a lot. He works long hours. He's up for promotion. He's going to school for that. He's got a young child. You know, if he had to work the night before or they have to go drive a half hour somewhere else, I don't want them to have to turn around and rush where they're at and then have to drive an hour in a different direction, and then the baby doesn't get a nap and all of that out of guilt. That,
Right.
that's not love.
So what would you say to
Oh,
some of our listeners that are have to deal with that guilt or there is that monster at that house that they have to go see and it's like, God dang it.
so
Wish I didn't have to go here
you don't
because
have
there's
to
a
operate.
monster in that house.
Yeah, and you don't have to operate and have tos anymore. It's going to feel really uncomfortable at first. It
Yes,
doesn't
it
have,
is.
but most likely it's going to feel really uncomfortable when you're breaking a generational habit. And typically guilt is passed down from somebody.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Oh, it comes down many, many generations.
Yes, and there's layers of it. So then it just gets, stacked on top of each other. But
Right.
there are no have tos in life. You have to pay taxes and you have to die. But, they haven't figured out a way not to do those two. The rest of them, it's all optional. And
Right.
you get to choose how to change that. You can choose it in a really harsh way or with love and gentleness. And when I know I'm about ready to make a tough decision or something that feels uncomfortable, because it's different, I'm like, help me see this through the eyes of love. Help me see this through the eyes of love. And
So
that,
if somebody's going to a house and they have that, I'm just going to call them the monster.
yeah,
But yeah, help. So how would you walk yourself through that? So you're going into this house, monster person,
right.
and
So
yeah,
think of, I love this acronym HALT: hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. I know when I operate in the world, if I'm showing up with any of those emotions, I'm not going to be the best version of myself. I'm going to get
right.
snappy, and all of my habits that I haven't quite shed yet, I've worked on. And when I'm in a really good place, it's easy to hold that space. But
Mhm.
if I'm hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, she shows up. And
Yeah, yeah,
then instead of no, we don't need a ham. No, we don't need this. It would be,
right,
why would we have ham? It's Thanksgiving. Everybody has turkey. I already have the menu planned. I even have more than enough meat.
right.
This
And
is a
that's an
cat.
old story.
That's an old story. That's an
Right,
old way of me operating in the world. And then even taking it a step further to like, where are you? I've been waiting for you for
right,
hours. That's a really old story that I dropped a long time ago. So the progress that has been made over the last 2 years of being immersed in RIM and just changing everything about my world is so evident this holiday season because I have so much joy and happiness. And it's
right.
not surface level, it is literally in my core.